And let me just say one word about bridge building. You know, one of the most pluralist literatures that I know in any language is the Talmud. It is a magnificent literature. You know that there are many, many people who study one page of the Talmud a day, which means that after 7 years, you complete all of the tractates of the Talmud. And we now, in our synagogue in Efrat, are on the 5th cycle of doing this. And what's amazing about the Talmud is that truly nothing human is alien to its intellectual involvement and dissection. There are myriads of issues and myriads of opinions on every one of those issues. It's filled with questions and disputes. But what emerges is an amazing degree of common respect and acceptance of other ideas and ideologies, even those who do not agree. Sometimes I think that if there's one question I would try to ask God, it is why it is that so many Jews study the Talmud, and it would seem sometimes that those who study the Talmud most are least open to other ideas and other views. And I'm not quite sure I understand that. But I stand before you today as someone who passionately loves Talmudic and Halachic Judaism, a very, very proud Orthodox rabbi who is truly committed to halakha and Jewish law as being vital for Jewish continuity, but who at the same time believes, and I have to say this as strongly as I can say it, you don't have to be Orthodox in order to be Jewish.
Exactly.
And that's a very, very, very important principle to understand, to teach, and to express. And again, I say it as someone who is very much committed to Orthodox Jewish practice. But you don't have to be Orthodox to be Jewish. And I could say it another way as well. The Torah is too precious and too important to leave to the Orthodox alone. I say that also. Because, and I want to make it very clear that you understand, I don't have to agree with you in order to love you. And I don't have to agree with you in order to be involved with you in Knesset Yisrael HaHistori as part of the historic peoplehood of Israel. And that's very important for both of us to understand in depth. 24,000 students of the great Rabbi Akiva were killed during this period. That's why the period of counting the Omer has become a mourning period, mourning, between Passover and Shavuot. And the reason the Talmud gives, the moral reason why they were killed, according to Rav Hai, they were killed in the Bar Kokhba rebellion and its aftermath, the Hadrianic persecutions. But the moral reason they were killed, according to the Talmud, the Gemara, and Yevamot Samach Bet, is because they didn't respect each other properly. And Rabbi Akiva apparently learned from this. His disciples, whom he had been teaching Torah, didn't love each other enough. And therefore he taught a special maxim in a very special way. V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, you shall love your friend like yourself. Ze klal gadol b'Torah. This is the greatest rule in the Torah. And I'd like you to think along with me for a few minutes. V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, you shall love your friend like yourself. Who is your friend in that verse? Who is the one whom you must love like you love yourself? Because, an alternate translation of the verse, he is like yourself. Who is that friend whom you must love like yourself? Now, I told you the Talmud has many, many ideas and many, many interpretations. And if you have 3 Jews, you generally have 4 opinions. Who is that Reah? So there's one group of rabbis who say, Re'acha b'mitzvot, someone who is your friend in keeping the commandments. In other words, my language, other Orthodox Jews. But at the same time, we must understand that Orthodox Jews don't have the monopoly on commandments. And there are many, many commandments that non-Orthodox Jews keep. And I know many Jews who are exceedingly observant and punctilious about keeping the commandments, but they're not really that religious. Whereas there are many religious Jews who are not really that observant all the time. So the definitions are not so simple. Now the second view, the Reah, the friend, that you must love like yourself because he is like yourself, is every single Jew no matter what. And the third view, which is given by the Ibn Ezra, and I believe is the most correct view, is that your friend who must love like yourself is every single human being. And the reason why I say that that is the most correct view is because of the end of the verse. V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, you shall love your friend like yourself. Can anyone tell me the last words to that verse? Ani Hashem, I am the Lord. And the Ibn Ezra makes a very, very telling point. He says, what does I am the Lord have to do with that verse? You know, there are interpersonal commandments, and there are God-human commandments, God-human being commandments. Now, we're talking about interpersonal commandments. So what does God have to do with the interpersonal commandments? And magnificently explains the Ibn Ezra, because God created every human being in His image. Because I created every human being, says God, equal to every other human being. Because every human being comes from the womb of the great divine presence. Because all of us, with a portion of God from on high, are siblings. Whatever our ethnic origin, whatever our color, whatever our creed. And that, I think, is precisely what the Bible is teaching. And I want to just explain a little bit about where I come from and what my background is, and what therefore has made me think the way I think. I've had very, very great Rebbes, most notably Rabbi Joseph B. Soloveitchik, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, and the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. And they were great, great teachers of mine. I don't blame them for anything I may say or do. But I'm very grateful to them because they've set my course. Rabbi Soloveitchik taught that Jewish law, halacha, deals with the most fundamental, existential human issues. And he dealt with issues like friendship and universality and loneliness and what unites all human beings. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe spent his lifetime teaching the importance of loving every human being. Certainly every Jew, no matter what the label happens to be before his brand of Judaism, and that was not important at all to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Because every Jew for him was a child of Abraham and Sarah, and Isaac and Rebekah, and Jacob, and Leah and Rachel. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe said again and again, the only thing that will bring the Messiah is v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Loving every human being because he is like you, created in God's image. And that means every human being. But my most influential teacher, and I have a book, I should have actually had some copies of it for you here. It's called Listening to God. And the stories that I'm going to tell you, the incidents I'm going to tell you now, are incidents which are written in the book. But these are the incidents that formed me in addition to my intellectual giant teachers. It was my grandmother. my maternal grandmother. My parents were not observant Jews. Part of that immigrant generation that came from Europe